Part 1. The Girl Who Sat Next to Me. Love doesn't always begin with fireworks. Sometimes it begins with silence. I noticed her because she always sat next to me, but never spoke. Same bus, same seat. Every morning at 7:12, she would sit by the window, headphones on, eyes somewhere far beyond the city. Not sad, just distant. Like someone waiting for something that never arrived. One day, the bus stopped suddenly. A loud brake. People cursed. She dropped her notebook. I picked it up. Our fingers touched. She looked at me, surprised. "Thank you," she said softly. That was the first time I heard her voice, and somehow it stayed with me all day. Her name was Emily. She worked at a small bookstore near the river. I started going there by accident, every day, just to see her smile when she recognized me. We didn't fall in love fast. We talked. About nothing. About everything. Music she listened to at night. My fear of ending up alone. Her belief that some people meet too late in life. She said that once. Some loves come when you're already tired. I laughed. I didn't know she was talking about herself. Weeks passed, then months, and one evening, as we walked near the river, she stopped and said, "If I disappear one day, please don't think it was because of you." I smiled. People don't just disappear. She didn't smile back. The first time I held her hand, she trembled. Not from excitement, from fear. I asked what scared her. She said, "Being happy again." I should have asked more. I didn't. Because when love feels gentle, you don't want to shake. One night, she finally kissed me. Soft, slow, careful. Like she was afraid the moment might break if she moved too fast. And when we pulled apart, she whispered, "Promise me something." "What?" "If I start pushing you away, don't leave immediately." I promised. That was the most dangerous promise of my life. Because love isn't always about staying. Sometimes it's about knowing when to let go. And I didn't know that yet. Part 2. The weight she never shared. Emily changed after the 3rd month. Not suddenly, quietly, like a window slowly closing. She stopped texting first, stopped laughing loudly. Sometimes she would stare at nothing for long minutes, then suddenly smile and say, "Sorry, I was somewhere else." I didn't ask where. I was afraid of the answer. When I hugged her, she held me, but not tightly, like someone afraid to depend too much. And one night while lying next to me, she whispered, "Do you think people can love someone and still leave them?" I turned toward her. "Why would they leave?" She didn't reply. She just pressed her face into my chest and stayed silent until she fell asleep. I started noticing things. She avoided future plans. When I said next year, she changed the subject. Together, she smiled. But her eyes looked tired. Not scared. Tired. One evening, I followed her after work. Not because I didn't trust her, because something in me felt wrong. She walked past her usual bus stop, kept going, all the way to the hospital. She didn't go inside. She sat on a bench across the street and cried. Not loudly, just tears falling one after another. I stayed hidden, because some pain isn't meant to be interrupted. Later that night, I asked gently, "Emily, are you sick?" She froze for just 1 second, then shook her head. "Why?" I nodded. "I just thought, never mind." She kissed my forehead. "Don't worry about me." People say that when they don't want to be saved. Our love didn't fade. It deepened, but it also grew heavier, like holding something beautiful made of glass, knowing it might break in your hands. She started writing letters, old-fashioned ones. Real paper. She hid them in her bag. I never read them. But I knew. They weren't for me. Not yet. One night, she finally said it. We were lying in the dark. No music, no phones, just breathing. "I'm scared you'll hate me one day," she whispered. "I could never hate you." She smiled sadly. "That's what scares me." I wanted to fight for her, to fix whatever was breaking her from inside. But love isn't a battle you can win alone. Blind. Because some people don't fall out of love. They fall out of time. Part 2. The distance between us. The rain started without warning. Emma stood under the old bus stop roof, hugging her jacket tighter around herself. The city lights reflected in the wet asphalt, blurring into long golden lines. She checked her phone again. No messages. She sighed. 2 months had passed since she met Daniel, the boy with tired eyes and a smile that looked like it carried secrets. They met by accident in a bookstore cafe, both reaching for the same novel. It felt stupid to call it fate, but deep down, Emma believed it was. At first, everything felt easy. Late-night calls, long walks, silent moments that didn't feel awkward at all. But lately, something had changed. Daniel had grown distant. Not cold, just far away, like his thoughts were always somewhere she couldn't reach. Her phone suddenly vibrated. "Daniel. I can't make it tonight." That was all. No explanation. Emma closed her eyes. She wanted to understand him, not lose him. But love without answers slowly turns into pain. The next day, she decided she couldn't keep guessing. She went to his apartment. When he opened the door, he looked surprised and afraid. "Emma, you shouldn't be here." "That's exactly why I am," she said quietly. The room was dark, curtains closed. On the table lay old photos, a woman holding Daniel's hand, smiling. Emma picked one up. "Who is she?" Daniel swallowed. "My wife." The word hit her chest like a punch. "I thought she was gone," he continued quickly. "She died 2 years ago. Since then, I stopped letting people get close." Emma's hands trembled. "Then why did you let me?" He looked at her, truly looked, for the first time in weeks. "Because when I'm with you," he said, voice breaking, "I don't feel dead anymore." Silence filled the room. Love can heal, but it can also reopen wounds. Emma stepped closer. "Then don't push me away," she whispered. "Let me stay, even if it's hard." Part 3. When love hurts. For a while, everything felt calm again. Daniel tried. He answered messages faster. He smiled more. He held Emma's hand tighter, as if afraid she might disappear. But pain doesn't vanish just because love appears. Sometimes it hides. Emma noticed the little things. How he went silent when someone mentioned marriage. How he flinched at hospitals. How he pulled away whenever she talked about the future. One evening, they sat on the rooftop of her building, watching the city breathe below them. "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" Emma asked softly. Daniel didn't answer. She turned toward him. "Daniel? I don't know," he said. "I stopped planning my life the day she died." Emma's heart sank. "And me?" she asked. "Am I part of your life? Or just something helping you survive?" He looked away. That silence was worse than any cruel words. Days passed. Messages became shorter. Calls became excuses. Until one night, Emma saw something she wasn't meant to. A message on Daniel's phone, accidentally lighting up while it lay on the table. "Unknown contact. I dreamed about you again." Her chest tightened. When Daniel returned from the kitchen, he froze. "You weren't supposed to see that." "Then tell me what it means," she said, trying not to cry. He sat down slowly. "It's her sister," he admitted. "She reminds me of my past, and sometimes I get lost in it." So where does that leave me? Emma asked. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. That was her answer. Tears slid down her face. I loved you, she whispered. Not your memories, not your pain, you. She stood up, hands shaking. I can't compete with a ghost. Daniel reached for her, but this time she stepped back and walked away. That night, Emma cried herself to sleep, not because she stopped loving him, but because loving him was destroying her. Part 4. The Space After Goodbye. The days after Emma left felt unreal. Daniel woke up reaching for his phone, then remembered there was no one to text. The apartment felt bigger, colder. Even the silence sounded different. He tried to distract himself. Work, music, long walks at night. Nothing helped. Because love doesn't disappear when someone leaves. It stays, echoing in empty places. Emma tried to move on. She deleted photos, muted memories, stopped passing by places they used to go. But at night she still heard his voice, still remembered how safe his arms felt. Letting go hurt more than staying ever did. Weeks passed. Then one evening, Daniel stood in front of the bookstore where they first met. The cafe was closed, the light inside dim. He stood there for a long time. Realizing something too late is a special kind of pain. He didn't lose Emma because he didn't love her. He lost her because he was afraid to live again. That night, he wrote her a message, not to beg, not to explain, just the truth. I was afraid of loving you because I thought happiness would be taken away again. Losing you hurts more than losing her ever did. If you never come back, I'll understand. I just needed you to know you were real and you mattered. He didn't send it. Some words are written only to be felt. Across the city, Emma sat on her bed holding her phone. She hadn't blocked him. She couldn't. Her screen lit up. A message notification. Her heart stopped. Then, nothing. No message. Just silence. And somehow, that hurt the most. Because sometimes, love doesn't end with goodbye. It ends with almost. Part 5. The Day We Met Again. It happened on a normal afternoon. No signs. No destiny music. No warning. Emma was standing in line at the hospital cafe, staring at the menu she didn't want. She had started volunteering there, helping patients find rooms, bringing water, listening when no one else had time. It made her feel useful, alive. She turned slightly, and froze. Daniel stood near the window. Thinner, tired, different. For a second, neither of them moved. The world continued, people walking, cups clinking, announcements echoing, but they were stuck in a moment that refused to move forward. He spoke first. Emma. Her name sounded unfamiliar in his voice. I didn't think I'd see you again, she said quietly. I hoped I would, he answered. Silence settled between them, not awkward, just heavy with everything unsaid. Sat down. Not close. Not far. Like strangers pretending not to remember how deeply they once loved. I'm here because of my mother, Emma said. She's sick. Daniel nodded. I'm here because I finally started therapy, he admitted. She looked at him, really looked, and saw something new. Not sadness, responsibility. I was living in the past, he continued, and I hurt you because of it. I'm sorry. She didn't cry. That surprised her. I forgave you a long time ago, she said, but forgiveness doesn't always mean return. He understood. That hurt more than anger would have. Before they left, he asked, Can I walk you to the exit? She hesitated, then nodded. Outside, the air felt colder. I loved you, he said softly. I think part of me always will. Emma smiled sadly. I loved you too, she replied. That's why I had to leave. They stood there, two people who loved each other at the wrong time. Then she turned and walked away. This time, he didn't stop her, because love isn't about holding on forever. Sometimes, it's about letting someone walk away with peace. And somehow, that hurt the most, because sometimes love doesn't end with goodbye. It ends with almost. Part 6. The Love That Stayed. Years passed quietly. Not dramatically. Just life doing what it always does, moving forward whether you're ready or not. Emma's mother recovered. Emma stayed at the hospital, then trained as a nurse. She learned how to be strong for others, even when she wasn't strong for herself. She dated, once or twice, nice men, kind men. But none of them felt like home. Daniel kept going to therapy instead of hiding inside it. He moved to another city, started teaching photography, something he used to love, before grief took everything away. He smiled more, laughed sometimes, but there was still a quiet place in him that never filled. They never contacted each other again. Not because they didn't care, because they cared too much. Betrayal, or hate, or tragedy, they end with respect, and that somehow hurts more. One autumn evening years later, Emma walked through a park with her daughter, a little girl with curious eyes and messy hair. "Mom," the child asked, "have you ever loved someone before Dad?" Emma stopped walking. She thought for a moment. "Yes," she said softly, "once." "Why didn't you stay together?" Emma smiled, not sadly, peacefully. Because sometimes love teaches you how to feel, not how to stay. Across the city, Daniel stood in a gallery opening. One of his photographs hung on the wall, a picture of two empty chairs facing a river. The title underneath read, "Almost." Someone asked him, "What's the photo about?" Daniel answered after a pause, "It's about a person you don't forget, even when life goes on." That night, Emma sat by her window. The same kind of quiet. The same kind of sky. She didn't cry. She didn't miss him painfully anymore. But somewhere deep inside, she whispered a name. Not aloud. Just once. Because some people aren't meant to stay forever. They're meant to change you. And that kind of love never really leaves. End. End. Space. P.